Rose Hill, Wellington.
There we go. Well, good morning, Wallace and Duplin County. Today is March the 7th. It is nice and cool. We had a few days of warm weather just to make us remember what it was like just in time for some cold weather. This is Lee Woodard, and you're listening to the Community and Small Business Update for Duplin County. I'm glad that you are joining us this morning with this nice cold morning, and hope you're having a good start to your weekend. This show is being brought to you by James Sprunt Community College, your bridge to success, as well as the Small Business Center at James Sprunt Community College. We've been doing this show now for almost a month, and we've had a variety of guests. We've had Kurt Simpson was on the show talking about real estate, and then we had James Wolfe talking about economic development in rural counties in North Carolina. And then we had Hope Smith on the show from Art of Hope. And then last week we interviewed Ken Sandarelli, just what it was like to go from LA to Rose Hill, and that was a interesting conversation. You don't see people often head from LA straight to Rose Hill. And today we have a great show. With us today is Jimmy Tate, who is the Vice President of College Advancement for James Sprunt, and we're going to be talking with Jimmy about James Sprunt. And one of the interesting things that you may or may not know is the college celebrated 50th anniversary in 2014. So before I get going, welcome, Jimmy.
Thank you, Lee. I'm glad to be here this morning.
Yeah, it's great to have you. When we talked earlier in the week, we sort of wanted to talk about a bunch of things that James Sprunt is doing and throughout the county, but let's start with just some of the celebration for the 50th anniversary.
Certainly. We started off last year remembering 1964 and the great things that happened in that year, and certainly in this county, in this region, when James Sprunt Community College was established, a part of that region. We are extremely happy in Duplin County to celebrate our 50th anniversary, and the home place adopted Dallas Herring, who was the founder of the North Carolina Community College system. So it was really special this year as we celebrated our 50th anniversary. Many of you might know that James Sprunt Community College started off as a small extension school and then emerged into the fine institution it is today. But one of our first programs that we're very happy about that was established at our college was our nursing program, and which has remained strong and a vital program, which we'll talk about later this morning. But since that time, we've seen the college add a number of buildings to our campus, a number of curriculum programs, as well as continuing education programs, and really tried a strong outreach effort. One of the things we're most proud of last year with our 50th anniversary is that we were able to bring past presidents back at some point during the entire 50th anniversary, which was a year-long event. All of our presidents that lives all across North Carolina came back and joined us at some of the various events for the college, as well as some of our trustees, past to present, who were some of the founding members of our college when we were first established. We started off that event last January with some weather like we just had a couple of weeks ago, which had to be rescheduled, but Trustee Boyette did a wonderful job really revealing the history of the college and sharing her message and her vision at that time as one of the charter members of the trustees, board of trustees at James Sprunt, about where James Sprunt should be at in the community. So we continue with that event into a day in the life of 1964 for students to have an opportunity to see how fortunate it is today to travel to school in the modern vehicles they travel in, as well as to be educated in the fine facilities. Because when we started in 1964, we know it was quite different than it is today. So we had a day in the life in 1964 where a number of our community members came back and helped us to really celebrate our past to our president that day. And then later in the year, we had a very successful event for our 50th anniversary, which was our first presidential annual gala, which we were able to ask the community to come to, a gala that the college was sponsored, and all of those proceeds were used to go directly towards student scholarships, continuing that legacy of Dr. Herron even through that event to celebrate the community college and to provide an opportunity for all students to succeed. And then we're just in several more events that can continue on throughout that year that we could all talk about.
Yeah, you were mentioning 1964, letting the kids know what it was like. Yeah, I show my age. I was born and before 1964, and I had to walk to school 5 miles. It was uphill both ways.
Really?
That's what my grandfather used to tell me, and I always said. But I hadn't really thought about it. It'd be interesting to compare my daughter Rachel's life with what it was in 1964. In fact, I can do that a little bit. She never really thought about it. She never thought of a telephone being tethered to a wall, and she had never thought about TV not having a remote control. So
really,
yeah. So I guess there is a difference. James Sprunt started out as James Sprunt Institute, and now it's James Sprunt Community College. Just that difference implies there's been a lot of change that has happened. I mean, one of the things I think might be interesting is to sort of compare. You mentioned the nursing program, one of the programs early on, and what it's transformed into today.
Certainly, as you know, that when James Sprunt was established, we went through many different changes during that time with the General Assembly and the renaming of the college. But in the fall of 1967, James Sprunt Institute became an independent extension of Wayne Technical Institute at that time, and the trustees renamed the college to James Sprunt Community College during that period of time. Where trustee Jimmy Strickland, who has since passed away, was elected as chairman of the board of trustees for our first group when we were an independent college. But since that time, we've seen a lot of interesting improvements at the college to include not only our nursing program, but also our vocational and technical education program, which was the primary mission at that time for a lot of community colleges that were being established to provide the industrial training, which is we're still continuing to do today. And James Sprunt was established with that goal in mind, as well as preparing students for their humanities programs as well, which we are doing today even on a greater level and involving our high school students. So there's so many wonderful initiatives that we have seen since 1964, since 1967, with the renaming of and becoming an independent institution and part of the North Carolina Community College system. As you would know, Lee, that James Sprunt is, as well as many of our community colleges, uniquely positioned to be part of this great community college system where there's 58 community colleges that get the support from our General Assembly as well as from our system office colleagues, where they really give us a lot of insight and direction and support to help us do the things that we do on the local level every day.
Yeah, and we'll sort of come back to the history, but it brings up a parallel. If you look at, I think, any community college, but certainly James Sprunt, we start to be almost a mirror that reflects what's going on in the community. And there's been a lot of change from 64, up until now. But with that, there actually comes costs. And if you look at budgets in the state of North Carolina or any state institution, we see more and more pressures on our budget going down, and it's hard to offer more with less money. So one of the things that I know James Sprunt has going on is their capital campaign. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I will, and our president is listening in this morning, and I want to certainly want to say that this is his vision, and along with our board of trustees and our foundation board, to be able to carry James Sprunt into the next level. We realize that while we celebrated our 50th anniversary, and certainly in our past we've accomplished a lot of things, but we realize that James Sprunt has a lot to accomplish, and Dr. Rouse has really reinvested in the vision of getting to us, the community college, back in the community even more. And as we do our strategic planning sessions with our business and industry partners, our community members at large, we really have heard the need for new programs and new different types of services we provide, as well as we've heard from students as well who would like to attend James Sprunt Community College, but although our tuition is extremely low, we realize that we're in an economically depressed area as well. And so therefore our president did not just want to listen to that information, but he wanted to be proactive. And so therefore we have our capital campaign that we all are very happy that we're into now,
Really, we're about into 7 months of it. It was certainly discussed some months past and prior to that point, but over the past 7 months, we have really moved that capital campaign to another level because of the support we have received and receiving from this community and folks all across this state and region. So really happy about our capital campaign. Like to talk with you about our capital campaign if I could just for a brief moment, and you're welcome to ask me any questions here you want to. There are our capital campaign is involving over 24 months, where the college planned to raise $3 million over the next 24 months. What we plan to do with that $3 million during this period of time, and we realize this is an aggressive campaign. You know, each week I'm meeting with people in the community, and they tell me about all of these various other organizations and even former schools that they're alumni of are having capital campaigns and having fundraising initiative. But we see ours as an investment. We see this as not an opportunity to give the James Sprunt, but as an opportunity to invest in your local community college. Since our establishment in 1964, this is our first time that we remember having a capital campaign that engages the community and the stakeholders of the community college. So we're excited, and we don't see this as an opportunity to ask you to give money, but to invest in your community college. And part of this capital campaign is an listening opportunity as well. We want to be held accountable as part of this kind of capital campaign, where business and industry, when they give to this capital campaign, our community members, that we want to hear your input. And we want to know ways that you want your dollars used. Certainly, there's 4 areas that we have identified as part of the capital campaign because of the need that we see every day. Number 1 is scholarships. And you rightly, when you mentioned earlier about increasing costs of tuition, while our president at James Sprunt and the Board of Trustees have done a wonderful job to make sure that our tuition remain low, we still know, as I said earlier, that low tuition for many of our residents is still unaffordable for them. And so therefore, we want to make sure that we have scholarships that provide to that student who graduate from high school at 17 or 18 and want to come to their local community college, but they show up and nobody never realized that they had a cost to attend the college. And we've actually had students to come to campus to register directly out of high school and was not aware that they would have a bill. Well, that student is very bright, very intelligent, and we don't want to turn them away.
Right.
We want to have the dollars to be able to say, here's a foundation, here's a scholarship to provide you to be successful in your career. So scholarships, when we meet with the community, is probably the number 1 of the 4 components to this capital campaign that we really are trying to share with our stakeholders to invest in.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think sometimes, we all get asked to contribute to all kinds of things, starting with our church and moving on to our, I remember a while Rachel used to sell wrapping paper and then it would be candy or whatever. So we're kind of accustomed to being hit up for money. But, I think a lot of times people don't take a second and think about it for investing in your community college. You hit the nail on the head. We are trying to raise money, but we're trying to raise money so more people can go to school. And I think that's really, really an important part of outreach for the community college. And in many respects, no matter who you are, you have an interest in contributing on that. What are some of the other things the capital campaign is focused on doing besides money for scholarships?
Certainly. Again, one of the second areas is very important for us is partnerships. We realize that one of the areas that James Sprunt wants to do a better job is to provide more services to our partners of the institution, meaning our business and industry partners. We want to hear from business and industry when they need a specific class that need to be offered. We don't want to have to wait for approval for those funding from the General Assembly or from Raleigh to where it's more and more competitive. We don't want to respond to business and industry today. When they call up our president and say that they need this special class, whether that's Biden, whether that's Murphy Brown, whether that's Bob Johnson at House of Rayford or wherever it is, we want to be able to respond in a very timely manner. So this partnerships is very important to be able to allow us to be able to serve the needs of our business and industry on a rapid source, in a rapid form. Certainly we could go through the traditional process, but through that process today, dollars are becoming more and more less, as well as time consuming. So, and by that time, even if the dollars are awarded, sometimes it's too late for that training that's needed in an advanced rate. So partnerships is a second area that folks can invest in this campaign to help us to be able to help our business and industry leaders, as well as our public schools, our hospital, and just so many external partners to the institution. We really believe that James Sprunt Community College is that economic engine of this great community. In order to be able to do that, we need to be able to provide more funding through our partnerships that we have.
Yeah, and we have just a classic example of doing that. Talk a little bit about the diesel program that's come online. I mean, that's almost a great little entry into why the capital campaign is so important in talking to our partners.
Certainly, the Diesel Mechanic School is going to be wonderful. Again, hearing our president vision to listen to the community. That was one of the concerns that came back, where I heard Dr. Rouse mention in many presentations that we see more and more trucks on the road each day. While these companies are growing and expanding, they're certainly going to need diesel mechanics in order to be able to work on that type of automobiles as they travel on the highways, as well as we need to be able to have a program that's going to allow our students to go to work and become gainfully employed. And there is a need for diesel mechanics as well. We're happy over at our West Park Center to announce our diesel mechanic school, and the great things that's happening with that. It's moving through the state construction, and if it would just stop raining for a couple of days, we might be ready to get in there a little bit sooner. But that's a great program. But even with that being built as a state-of-the-art facility, there are some strong needs financially. As I said and cannot say enough, I think a lot of time the public may think because we are a publicly funded institution that whatever we ask for in Raleigh we receive, and that's certainly not the truth.
Right.
We need their support to be able to make this diesel mechanic school the best. Anything that we do at James Sprunt, we want to be the best, and we know that our diesel mechanic school will be one of the only of its kinds in southeastern North Carolina. So this is going to be a regional project, just like many of our business and industry today serves the region as a whole. This school will. So we're happy to Murphy Brown came on board early on with a $100,000 contribution. It's helped us tremendously with this diesel mechanic school. We were able to get funding through Golden Leaf Foundation some time ago for $1 million, which is going to support our diesel mechanic school greatly through the grant with the Golden Leaf Foundation. But we still need more funding. Even this week, we were able to meet with the architect and that firm there and identify, again, we have a leading instructor, Jonathan Merritt, who's been recruited to lead this initiative. And we want his input. And one of the things that we're hearing that we need to make even more advances to the facility as it's being built. So with those type of advances that we make come a need for requests as well. So with the diesel mechanic school, it's an exciting initiative for the college, some great things going on with it. It's going to serve this community from an employer aspect as well as from a student aspect, and the community is going to be able to have a new type of level of profession to enter into. So we're excited about our diesel mechanic school.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting. When I started as the Small Business Center director in October, I came in with some preconceived ideas of what was needed and what the job should be, and it didn't take me but about 2 weeks to realize I was wrong. My number one issue in the Small Business Center, and you know, I bet to some extent this applies to James Sprunt overall, my number one issue is I would walk out to people who I didn't know as I would be at various events in the county, and I'd ask them, have you heard of the Small Business Center? And unfortunately, about half the people I asked said no. And then of the people who did know about it, I asked, do you know what the services are? And they didn't know that. So I immediately said to myself, I've got a branding issue. And, you know, I wonder, James Sprunt's been around a lot longer than the Small Business Center, but we have changed so much. I think one of the things we have to do is just do what we're doing today, talk about what's going on at James Sprunt and how it's changing.
And you have done a wonderful job doing that. Over the past several weeks, we've heard so many great comments back, listening at you, and not only traveling through the community, getting to know our business and industry leaders and our small businesses mainly, but certainly reaching out into the community just like you're doing with this talk show. And on the behalf of President Rouse and our institution, we really commend you, Lee, for taking this on the hymns and support your endeavors.
Wow, that worked really well. I got what I needed now. But no, in fairness, I mean, I do think people don't. I mean, when you're in the middle of doing something, you often lose sight of the fact you haven't told everyone around you. So I think what we're saying today is important. And before we move on, I one of the things I'd point out, you've got the diesel school going up in West Park, but we have another facility sitting right there that makes us unique, and that's that incubator kitchen.
Exactly. Yeah, and Congressman Rouser's office will be visiting there this week. We're excited about our incubator kitchen. This is a great opportunity to allow so many people who want to be caterers, who want to go into the entrepreneurship of owning their own small business and their own type of commercial kitchen, who cannot afford to build their own restaurant or their own facility, to use their local community college. Again, another resource that we have. And I can't say enough that President Rouse, his vision is to be more in the community and for our community college to be that resource to everybody. And on our incubator kitchen, we've just heard so many great comments from community leaders and community partners who have used that facility. It's really been, and you see it every day, Lee, it's been an opportunity to provide that person with an opportunity to be an entrepreneur who otherwise may not be able to afford it because of the facility costs, the supplies, the insurance, and all of those other regulations that's even greater as a person have their own facility. So we're glad to have it.
Yeah, Teresa and I work very closely. Usually if she gets a client there, she'll ask them, have they come to the Small Business Center? If not, I get a call, and often I'll meet clients out there. And it's a wonderful environment for them to work on their product and work on their business. And it does, make us distinct compared to the other, community colleges around. And I even have shown it off to folks from Sampson Community College and others. And so trying to encourage that, they use it as well. What about the 4 initiatives that you've got going on in student services?
Okay, great. As we talk about the one of our 4 initiatives with student services, certainly relates back to our capital campaign and our 4 areas that we have. And you're right, Lee. The third area really relates to specifically to student services, is student success. We realize that many of our students who come to James Sprunt Community College have been out of school for several years, and even some of those that's coming directly out of high school need some supplemental support education. And so we're doing some great things through our TRIO program, our Upper Bound program, our Talent Search program, providing those support and services for those students of that population who need some help and assistance. And I certainly support what they're doing. This capital campaign is going to allow us to also ask community members to contribute towards student success. And student success relates directly to our student services area. So I think the whole point of the community to realize that is with our capital campaign that every area of the college is going to be impacted by this capital campaign. We have a number of students who are very academically intelligent, who have dreams of becoming very successful, but yet they have some real challenges financially as well as family life challenges. And the student success component of our campaign is going to help those students overcome those challenges. We do not want students at James Sprunt to become an early leaver just because of challenges. This capital campaign is going to help students who need tutorial services, who need job placement services. The college really have a strong mission to ensure that not only we are preparing students to work, but we want to make sure our students become gainfully employed. And in doing that, this capital campaign through our Category 3, student success, is going to allow us to be able to provide those support services, even to follow up with the graduate as they leave the institution to become gainfully employed. So we're really proud about that. Student success as being our third model.
Well, one of the things, just as to go just a little bit further, one of the areas of James Sprunt that I've been really impressed with is the whole leadership initiative, and that really goes to something about what you're talking about. Talk just a little bit about that.
I would love to talk about our leadership initiative. We have a wonderful center at James Sprunt Community College known as the Duplin County Center for Leadership. And I was driving in this morning thinking about some of the leaders, past to present, who came together to really formed that Center for Leadership. It was created on the campus of James Sprunt Community College, but heavily with community involvement. It was started out as an initiative through the Kellogg Foundation. We're able to support us with that through our initial grant, and it was part of the acclaimed program through North Carolina State University, which really taught community college leaders to get back in the community. And how do you get back in your community and prepare other leaders for opportunities or success? And so through our Duplin County Center for Leadership, realized that we many times have many of the same people we're asking to serve on boards over and over again, same people we're asking to get involved in their community over and over again, even in the churches and business and industry. It's the same people so many times. And so what we want to do, we really firmly believe, and we do have our board that governs the Duplin County Center for Leadership Development, which is made of leaders all over this county. We have had board members like Katie Harrell, who's our clerk of court, Lee Graham, who's president of Farm Bureau, and Wallace, and different people who have served as part of our board. Currently, County Commissioner Francis Park is our chair, and following Ms. Latson, who's just finished up her chair. So we have always had a mission with our organization to make sure we're listening to the community and making sure that we're offering the base curriculum for leadership that is developed for our community and community leaders. We want to make sure that when our wave of leaders that we currently have are ready to retire, that we have a new wave of leaders who's already prepared because they've gone through the training with the Duplin County Center for Leadership Development. I'll put a plug in for our leadership center is that Chris Barclay with Precision Hydraulics first sent some students through our class, and now he is sending regularly a large supply of his employees as a requirement to go through our leadership development program. So, and one of the things with our leadership development class, we like to keep that class around 15. Now, as the class have really grown, we're over that number this semester. But the great thing about the DCCLD Leadership Development Program is that you're in class with a person who may not have completed high school, all the way to someone who may have a PhD. And when they come to class together, they're learning from that person who was an early leaver from the high school, as well as that PhD candidate. You're learning from that person who's an industrial worker, along with that supervisor of a company as well. And so, and we bring in different facilitators for each one of our classes. The college really invests a lot, as well as our Duplin County Center for Leadership Development Board. Business and industry supports that program, and community leaders. Trustee Delilah Gomes were very, very involved in helping us get that center also established. So I'm very happy about what we're doing. We have one of our largest classes going on right now. On April the 14th, we'll have our commencement for that program. We've had key speakers all across the state to join us for our leadership program, and it's a program that's really producing results.
Excellent. And, you know, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the leadership. Go back to the capital campaign. You mentioned a focus on student services. There's another focus on technology, right?
Exactly. We know that our school is in a unique area that's a great community and a great environment here in Duplin County. But we also know that when President Rouse go to the General Assembly or to the community college system and ask for additional funding, we have Wake Tech, which is tremendously larger than our institution, 20,000 plus students there, and building additional campus, also who have a large number of General Assembly members who are a part of their delegation there. You have Central Piedmont, who's even larger, that have so many students there at their institution. So and here we are, James Sprunt, competing against those types of institutions for funding who have so many more legislators at the table. So what we want to be able to do is to make sure that when students graduate from James Sprunt Community College, that they have the same 21st century technology opportunities in the classroom as that student who graduates with an associate's degree from Wake Technical Community College, Central Piedmont Community College, Durham Technical Community College. We want them to know that their degree at James Sprunt carries the same level of validity. We believe it carries more, but we want to be able to believe with our technology Our faculty deserve to be able to teach with 21st century technology, and our students deserve to learn. And we asked our partners, our community, to recognize our needs for technology, not only from the staff aspect and faculty, but foremost from the students. And so that's an area that we really are pushing as well with this capital campaign. We want to be the best community college. We want to do innovative things, but we need the funding and the dollars to make it happen. And this capital campaign, the fourth initiative, technology, is going to make that happen. We know that our students and our business partners must keep pace with technology and the needs of the business industry. And this capital campaign is going to allow us to not only have state-of-the-art 21st century classrooms, but even in the equipments and the advancements that we use in our technology and labs, as well as in our training that's directly tied to professional careers.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had the opportunity to work a little bit with UNITA on the Certified Production Technician program, and it's interesting you would say that. When you look at the certification and the tests and what people will be expected to know when they come out of that program, it's different than what it would have been 10, even 5 years ago. It is heavy into technology. If you're going to be a production technician, you better understand technology or you can't really do your job today.
That's exactly right. Technology is very, very important as we move this capital campaign. And we certainly realize that, and we asked our community to help us realize that as well.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that it's hard to believe, every time I sit in this chair and do this show, it's hard to believe we've already gone through the first half of the show, if you can believe it or not. And we have so much more we want to talk about. But one of the things I do want to do is just to remind you that you're listening to the Community and Small Biz Update for Duplin County, sponsored by James Sprunt Community College, your bridge to success, and the James Sprunt Small Business Center. We will go ahead and open up the phones, and we'll just go back to our conversation and take calls if they come in. The calling number is 910-289-2031. Again, that call-in number is 910-289-2031. Don't be shy. Call in with your questions. And, you know, Jimmy, let's go back. We've talked about the capital campaign. We've talked about how it will benefit students. We've talked about some of the focuses on technology. So no doubt we've got several thousand people going, well, gosh, if I only knew where to send my money. Can you help them out?
I certainly can. In fact, we can even accommodate them and go and meet them today if they need us to. We can change today's schedule real quickly. Ways that folks can give to this campaign today, and we realize, as I said earlier, that there are so many different organizations that are asking folks to contribute, but we made it real easy for folks, we believe. There are four main ways that folks can contribute to our capital campaign to help us to bring their bridge to success. One is through cash gifts. We do accept checks, credit cards, funds, and stock transfer as part of our capital campaign, and cash gifts in those ways. Also, we realize one of the ways that's so important is pledges. We want to help folks to be able to realize that this capital campaign, if they want to endow a scholarship, and I must say that if you look at some of our neighboring colleges and universities, it's very expensive to endow a scholarship. But you can fully endow a scholarship for only $20,000 at the great James Sprunt Community College. And through our capital campaign, a person can do a pledge over a 5-year period, where that equates to only $4,000 a year. And of course, every dollar that you give to our foundation is tax deductible. We are a tax deductible organization, nonprofit organization. Stocks and securities is another way that's very important to provide an immediately income tax deductions, which really helps eliminate capital gains for those folks out there in that category. That's allowed by law. We can certainly do that as well. Real estate is another area. James Sprunt is growing. We have limited territory to grow, and we want to let folks know that you certainly can do real estate to our college. A couple weeks ago, I was traveling from D.C. to see visiting family, and I was coming back through Johnson Community College and saw a wonderful opportunity when I were able to get off the interstate for a few moments and saw so a family gave to the Johnston Community College some years ago, which the community college have used greatly to their advantage. So here in Duplin County, we know there's a lot of folks who have a lot of property, a lot of land. Well, I want them to know that if you don't have the dollars to give, the land is just as important to us. There's not one area that's more important to us for giving than another area in our capital campaign. And hopefully you'll allow me in a few moments to talk about some of the various levels that folks can contribute in our capital campaign. But there are ways that folks can make differences through trust, our charitable trust, annuities, life insurance gifts, retirements, pension plans as well, an annual givings recognition program as we do through our convocation program each year at our college. And people can designate their dollars for one area, or they can give it to the foundation to be used by the foundation to help students overall. There are just so many ways that we can contribute it as a community to our local community college to this great capital campaign.
Excellent. And I'll even go so far as to say anyone who gives $1,000 today can get an autograph copy of this show. I'll sign it and you'll sign it, right?
Exactly. We will be available directly afterwards.
Absolutely. I'll be glad to give you an autographed copy.
Exactly.
That and 25 cents will get you a cup of coffee at Walmart. But anyway.
Right.
All right. We talked about, obviously we're being as flexible as we can be to accept any kinds of whatever people can give, however they can give it. We have, I'm sure, lots of different levels of sponsorship. What are they?
Certainly. Thank you, Lee. One of the areas that folks can give at our capital campaign, first I want to say that we have the Friends of the College level, and that's $1. Someone recently asked me, said, why did you all start off with $1 level? Well, we believe that everybody is a part of our community college. There's no gift that's too small, and there's no gift that's too large. You're going to find out through my synopsis of this giving level is that we go from the Friends of the College to $1 to our Men's level, this $1 million. There's a lot of margin in between there. But the Friends of our college, we want our students to participate. The students are going to benefit from this capital campaign, and we want to be able to allow them to contribute and feel the part of the capital campaign. We have our sponsors of the college, which is $100 level. Right now, next week, we'll be calling on a lot of folks and asking to help sponsor an event that we have coming up on March the 26th that I'll talk about as well. And patrons of the college level, which is $500. And of course, we have this unique opportunity to join the President's Club. At our college, it's only $1,000 annually to be a member of the President Club, and our president is really interested in taking our President Club members to another level. Very similar if you look at the University of North Carolina at Wilmington and some of our local universities that have a board of visitors. Well, we believe that the President Club is just as important as that type of board, so he's getting ready to start meeting with the members who are part of our President Club and meeting with them periodically. And Dr. Rouse has been very good to really try to embrace that group of folks, and even on a larger level now. So when a person become part of the President Club, they're going to get periodically notifications from the college, as well as invitations to special events on campus, and well as an opportunity to have an open dialogue with the president as well, and the opportunity to hear regular updates again. The James Sprunt Society member is $5,000. That's a society level member. And at $10,000, we have our Heritage Society member. And these are folks that we ask to give, but also think about the heritage of the community college system. The reason that we were established, and we're certainly different from the public schools while we partner with them. We're certainly different from the university system, and while we partner, even with our four-year private institutions. And so remember that heritage that the community college was established as an open door college for everyone who had an opportunity and a vision to go to school. The reason the community college was established is to make sure you have that opportunity. So the heritage members are going to allow us to continue that legacy. We also have what we call our Spartan level. You probably hear a lot now if you come on James Sprunt campus over the last year about Spartan pride and blue and white. We're really trying to refocus on our campus spirit and our community spirit. We want the community to be painted blue and white. Lee, you can certainly help us. We got material that being produced in-house at the college by our wonderful director of communications, which we're going to be providing with you to share with business and industry. We want, when you walk into the door of any business in here in this county, that you see something about James Sprunt Community College. We really want to be your local community college. We have the blue and white level again at $50,000. the bridge level, which our bridge on campus has been that safe haven for a lot of students, faculty, and staff. And in the springtime of the year, like now, you will see even instructors that's possibly out there with classes and even time that we call it our think tank of the campus, where we can go at. And you can certainly be a bridge level for $100,000. A McGowan level, which is our first and only administrative building on campus, named after Mr. Faison McGowan, who we knew was a longtime pioneer here in the county, which would be at $250,000. Our charter member, because we know it's very important to recognize the charter of James Sprunt Community College, is at $500,000. And our Menzie level is at $1 million or more. And if folks really want us to speed up this capital campaign out there today, all we need is 3 people to call in and give us $1 million, and we can reach our goal.
Okay, folks, you heard it. That's 910-289-2031. That's the call into the radio show, but I feel certain we can accept that $1 million gift right here through the radio station.
That's exactly
And again, remember, I will give you an autographed copy of this show if you call in. I'll give you 2 if you do the $1 million. One of the things that we got off to such a quick start this morning, I did forget to tell you, listening to Surge Radio 100, and that's WEGG 710 AM and W263BE Rose Hill 100.5. And if you don't have a radio, you can hear us on surgeradio.org. We're streaming live. Again, the number to call in if you're interested is 910-289-2031. And one of the things, Jimmy, you mentioned, and we sort of went on as you were talking about the various levels of participation in the capital campaign, is we have an event coming up later this month. You want to talk about that?
I'll be glad to. We have on March the 26th, we are doing our first Health Sciences Luncheon at James Sprunt Community College. That is when we are going to allow all of the dollars that we generate from that event are going to award student scholarships for our health sciences program students. We know that our first nursing class at James Sprunt Community College was established in 1962 with our LPN program. And so nursing has always been an important curriculum program for this community in this county. And we want to continue that legacy. We know that, however, as well as with our medical assistant program and our RN program, the textbooks for those programs can be $200-300 very easily. Now, in addition to the supplies that's required for the program, as well as the various type of training that students have to have, in addition to the tuition costs. So that's our first program that we're actually doing, a medical health sciences luncheon, to really ask our medical community to give back to their local community college. Throughout this capital campaign, we don't want to continuously to go to the same people and say and overtax the same people repeatedly, although we want them to continue to give, but we want to be able to reach a new market. And so we know that we haven't reached out into our medical community enough. So this medical sciences luncheon on the 26th is, if you have a child who wants to be a nurse or who wants to be a medical assistant graduate, this luncheon is going to help make that possible, where they can compete for scholarships. We want to be able to provide those, and then once the dollars are raised, we let our local high schools, through our newspaper. We plan on doing more and more community awareness with the community, letting them know great things going on with James Sprunt Community College. On the 26th, Dr. Harvey Carnegie will be our keynote speaker. Dr. Carnegie, as you know, Dr. Carnegie Sr., that I will make that notification. He was certainly our longtime medical EMS medical advisor here in the county, and currently still work in Duplin County at the Department of Health Department right now, serving that population as well, and doing a wonderful job up in the entire county in the medical community. He has a strong family of medical providers. 4 of his sons are doctors, and his wife's a nurse. So we're looking forward to his presentation that day. A number of our medical community members have already joined us. Greg Bounds talked to him last Friday, and Greg's excited. Him and his team from Goshen, who's joining us there, had a wonderful meeting with our very own hospital president, Jay Briley, a couple weeks ago, who's very committed to this wonderful initiative we have going forward. We will be honoring a number of our local doctors, past and present, that day. One will be a name that many people here in the county recognize, Dr. Edward Boyette, who was a long time one of our earliest medical providers of this community, very instrumental in the establishment of Duplin General Hospital, as it was named at that time, known today as Vidant Duplin. So we are very excited. We get an opportunity to celebrate the success of others. If you certainly know anything about our community college, you would know that in addition to our primary focus being educating the students, we love to celebrate accomplishments, what others are doing for the community as well, and especially when James Sprunt's part of that. So we are happy to celebrate Dr. Boyette and his contributions to the medical profession, and certainly to him and his wife, Miss Helen Boyette, contributions. And Ms. Boyette still serves as a trustee, our longest serving trustee at the college as well. And they certainly, we're happy also to announce that we have a scholarship that has been established to be fully endowed by the Boyette family for Dr. Boyette as well, and all of his contributions. We had, we're also going to be have an opportunity for anyone who has been impacted by the medical providers, past and present. We know Dr. Ray, Dr. Redwine, and so many others were so instrumental in this community. Dr. Quinn. We want to ask those family members, or patients of those family members, to give to them to be recognized that day. We have a special memorial board that our foundation board chair, Ms. Joanne Stroud, came up with a wonderful ideal as part of this celebration, that we would have a medical memorial wall where anyone who contributes $1,000 or greater, name will permanently be placed on this medical wall, where our students will see it every day as they enter their classrooms, who are supporting them. So during those difficult hours of pharmacology, they can then look on that board and say, you know, we can make it because this person did. And not only did they make it, but they're giving back to support me to make sure that I'm successful. So we're happy about that. We asked our community members, if you've been impacted by one of the local physicians, and I've heard stories over the last several weeks about doctors making house visits and over the years and helping deliver babies, and folks were sick, they could call their doctor right up at home, and we want to know if that doctor helped you and your family so much. Well, please give to your community college on March the 26th so we can give back to the students as the doctors have invested into their lives.
Excellent. You know, one of the things, and we'll have to have you back because we're not even getting halfway through the questions that we'd like to. But one of the things, you know, as we look at that capital campaign, I'll throw you a curveball here. One of the things I have thought about, especially in the last month doing this show, we ought to have a radio station at James Sprunt and offer a communication engineering associate's degree where people would learn how to do podcasts, learn how to do radio shows. And I even planted a bug in Ken, the owner of Surge Radio, you know, about would we be interested in doing that. But it's just something to think about as we start growing our, you know, offering what maybe students would like to have.
Let me respond to that and say to you, Ken, I want you to know that I did say that the second area to the capital campaign is partnerships, and we want you to contribute there so we could be able to offer those special type of classes. That was real good, Lee. Thank you.
We can endow that radio program to Surge Radio, right?
But I will tell you, that's exactly right. But I will tell you, that sounds like a wonderful ideal. There was someone who shared with me recently something on that same initiative is going on at another community college. I can't say enough that we are fortunate to have a very innovative leader leading our institution, Dr. Rouse, and all of our leadership there at our institution, our president, a council, and faculty and staff, who really embraces the change and embrace innovation. And so as part of that, I can share, if you know those special type of services you need or you would like to see happen in the community college, I invite you to call James Sprunt at 910-296-2400 and share your desire, and we will get you routed to the right person to make sure we follow up on that.
Okay, that's excellent. Again, if you are interested in calling, the call-in number is 910-289-2031. That's 910-289-2031. Jimmy, going back, one of the things that when you and I talked, there's a couple of things that you're planning. You don't have the details yet, but you're looking at perhaps a more art and music focus coming out, and maybe even a speaker series at the convocation. Are you ready to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're certainly in the preliminary stages. We're trying to finish up March 26th. I promised our staff that we would not mention any more events to them right now until the 26th. Have a wonderful team that I work with there in the advancement department who's just really wonderful. I certainly couldn't do what I'm allowed to do without their teamwork and their leadership every day. So we are planning to have the best convocation this year. We want to have our community members there, our students, our faculty, our staff, key leaders across our state as well. We have invited several prospective speakers to join us that day that really have a unique tie to James Sprunt and to the community college system as a whole, as well as to Duplin County. We have some successful people that have emerged from Duplin County. Many of them have left and many of them still remain here. And we want to highlight our talents and let our students know that while you can go abroad, you can also stay here in Duplin County and be successful. And so in our capital campaign, we're sharing that message with our convocation this year with our speaker. We're doing that event as well. And then we're happy to also announce, yes, many of you that have been affiliated with the college sometime, you remember many years ago we had the Dr. Dallas Herron Lecture Series where we would bring in someone who was distinguished in music and in the arts. So we're going back and establishing a very successful humanities program where we want to give free events to the community to come in. I think it's very important while we asking people during this season of giving about our capital campaign, but also for us to do as many things for this community free of charge as well. So over the next several months, you will see up into this summer, we are now meeting with our president and our foundation board meeting this week, and we're going to be talking about innovative lecture series where we're bringing a series of speakers that will benefit the entire community, and also performance. We don't want folks to have to drive to Wilmington or to Raleigh to see a play or to see a musical performance. We want you to stay right here in Duplin County and come to the Monk Auditorium and have that opportunity to have a wonderful musical performance at your local community college. So we are also looking at, even when you come over our campus over the next several months, we plan on, if you travel through some of our buildings, you see we have a lot of photography there from many years in the past. Well, we know we have a lot of talented people, as you just mentioned earlier, Hope Smith and others who are artists in this great county. Well, we plan to visit our artist group, and Lee, again, you can help me because I know you are a part of that wonderful art group as I learned about your wonderful art talents recently. And we're going to ask that group if they will display some of their art as well at James Sprunt Community College. Again, we're trying to do a lot of innovative things, but we also are conservative when it comes to spending. So we're trying to think how we can do more, but certainly do it with less resources. Again, I can't say enough that all of the dollars we're raising for our capital campaign are going directly back to students. So while they hear great things are going on, please know we're keeping our costs very low in what we're doing. And if folks know of persons that they would like to come to James Sprunt and do a musical performance, or an artist that they would like to have visit our campus, please call us and let us know. We want to know that. One of the greatest things about us is we realize that there are some people out there in the community that know a lot more than we do, and we want to hear from those individuals and those connections. We also have coming up for us, and something I want to talk about this morning if time allows, is our JSCC Alumni Club. We are starting a strong initiative with our Alumni Association here at James Sprunt Community College. Brandy Bone, who works with us at the college, who were in a number of capacities, who was a former graduate of James Sprunt, like myself, is that's one of the great things about our college. We have a number of faculty and staff members all across the institution who are graduates of the college, who went there their first 2 years and then transferred to four-year institutions and completed their graduate or their undergraduate work. And we want to ask those folk, we believe before we can ask others to invest in our community college, that we as faculty and staff have to be willing to invest as well. And so we're happy about our Alumni Association. They're going to help us paint the county blue and white. They're going to help be able to be those persons who are our ambassadors for the college as well with our events that we have going on. We want to have special seating for our alumni. You know, it's amazing the people that I've met with this capital campaign who told me, my daughter, my son, my cousin. I actually went to James Sprunt. I was meeting with Miss Davis, director of Duplin County Department of Social Services this week, and she shared with me, Miss Smith, and she shared with me that she is a graduate. She actually graduate of East Carolina University, but she got her early beginnings at James Sprunt Community College. Kirk Simpson, who's a very successful entrepreneur, as you know, in this county, and talking with him and his wife some weeks ago, and he said, Jimmy, yeah, you see the degree on my wall from UNC Chapel Hill, but I actually went to James Sprunt. And his wife came out and shared with me that she went to James Sprunt as well, and was sharing some wonderful stories about her days at the college. And so you will hear more about our Alumni Association. We made a conscious goal to say during the spring semester was when we were going to make that appeal. This year at our commencement, we also want to make sure that the graduates know that they have an alumni association, and we plan to let them have an opportunity to join right there. It's important to make that appeal. So our alumni association, the public will be hearing a lot about. We're very excited about that as well.
Yeah, and Jimmy, you know, one of the things that I think I can say this because, first of all, I'm not high enough on the totem pole that I'll actually insult anyone, but doing a lot of volunteer work in the public school system, you know, it's become very apparent over the last few years that our legislature is very good at passing rules and regulations and helping us understand what we need to do. They're not quite as good about passing the money that would go along with doing that. And so, you know, one of the things I'd stress is just how important things like the capital campaign are for us to continue to grow and offer, you know, obviously being good stewards of anyone's contribution. But, you know, if we want to remain important and pertinent in the life of the community, it's imperative that we have the money. And, you know, one of the things, I guess you can say the glass is half empty or half full. President Obama saying he would like everyone to have access to their local community college and it be free. That's a wonderful idea. Not sure we're exactly clear on how we're going to do that. But I mean, I guess, you know, I would say, you know, when people look at James Sprunt or any of their community colleges, I'd say the future's pretty bright.
It is very bright, and I think the future is very bright, and we're very hopeful for the mission of the community college. We only see it getting brighter, Lee. Why were we doing a capital campaign now at James Sprunt Community College is because we see the future as bright, and we see this as a great opportunity to invest and partner with us. Why do we have so many new initiatives going on now? Because of that one reason you just mentioned, because we're doing long-term planning for a very bright future. Our founding fathers of this great system did some great things with the community college, and I think it's upon us to see where we're going to take it to the next 50 years. Our president recently said to someone, now we're celebrating our 51st birthday, and as we reach that goal mark of the 50th year, where do we go at next, and how do we do that? And that's what we're doing, and trying to get out in the community even more to take our message that your community college is here to be your bridge to success. Some great things are happening at our college, and I want to make sure that folks know that if they do want to purchase tickets for our Health Sciences Luncheon, that they can do that by calling the college. We do have seating still available for that event. Tickets are only $100 per individual, and for a table of 6, they're only $1,000. Again, we're going directly, majority of that dollars are going directly to student scholarship. And I like to really highlight one of our foundation board members today, and although he doesn't like a lot of recognition, I really want to thank Jonathan Fussell here with Duplin Winery. He's an outstanding board member, an outstanding supporter of our local community college, and he's done a wonderful job to host us as for the Health Sciences Luncheon on the 26th. And without his support, we probably couldn't have this event and make it as successful as it has. And also I want to really thank our board chair of the foundation, who's really been making a lot of calls as well, calling folks and inviting them. I know that there's a lot of people who are part of our board of trustees and foundation that might be just a little older than me, so they have a lot of more experience and knowledge and contacts, and I just applaud their effort. I met with board chair Stroud as well as board chair Tucker some weeks ago, and they gave us a lot of information that President Rouse and I are using to really make those contacts with folks for our health sciences luncheon, and we're doing all of this for our students.
Excellent. Jimmy, it's been such a pleasure to talk with you. Again, you're listening to the Community and Small Biz Update for Duplin County. I'm Lee Woodard. We've been talking with Jimmy Tate, the VP of Advancement for James Sprunt Community College, talking about a lot of the things that the college has going on in the community, and not the least of which is the capital campaign, as it really starts to mark what our future is going to be like. I do want to share with you that next week we have Janine Cavanaugh will be coming on the show, and we're going to take the whole time to talk about something that's really, really important, and that's the Relay for Life. Yes. I don't know of anyone whose life hasn't been touched by cancer in some way or another. I know I lost my mom to cancer, and my grandmother, and so it certainly has a special meaning for me, and so we're looking forward to that. Jimmy, we've got just a minute. Anything you'd like to say as we head out the door?
I would like to say that, again, we're very happy that Janine will be joining you next week. Again, you're hearing the word community more at James Sprunt Community College as we celebrate our 50th anniversary. We realized there was a need to even serve our community on a greater level, and again, it was President Rouse's vision and initiative to want to bring the Relay for Life event back on our campus this year. I shared with staff earlier this week. I remember when my president, who was president and who hired me, Dr. Mary Wood, hosted the first Relay for Life event almost 20 years ago on our campus. And I remember that day she made the comment. She said, all of someone's life, just to what you just made, had always been touched by cancer and impacted, and it was very emotional for her. And I remember, as probably 21 or 22 years old at the time, thinking that it had not. I didn't really remember anyone who was impacted by cancer. And so almost, I think it was about 5 or 6 years later, very surprising to me, I found out my mom had cancer and since passed away with cancer. And so this year when we have Relay for Life back on campus, I can say personally, I know how it feels to be impacted by cancer. And so I'm very happy that we are bringing the Relay for Life event back to Duplin County, and we're happy to host it at James Sprunt Community College for our entire county to be a part of that great event. Many organizations are doing some great events for that day. Our Scholarly Men of Success organization, got to put in a plug for them as well, Lee, while I'm here. There's a group of young men on campus that's overcoming challenges, or doing some wonderful things, and they're giving back that day too.
Well, Jimmy, thank you so much for being here again. This is the Community and Small Biz Update. I'm Lee Woodard. You have spent your whole hour with us, so glad that you did. We'll be back next week at 9 talking about the Relay for Life. So y'all have a great weekend, and talk to you next week. Bye. It's a breeze, man. It just blows right by.
I like talking about the capital campaign.
Yeah.
That's how it is. That sometimes I'll tell my brother on Sunday afternoon, I said, man, I'll be back in about 2 hours. I'm going to talk to somebody, and I'll leave 4 o'clock and get back like 8 or 9.
Right.
You know, because especially when I get into more stories, you're doing a phenomenal job. I want to thank y'all for working with Lee on this radio station.